Hey guys, in today's video we will be going over active learning and technology modules. Normally you pick one of these, but I will be going over both of them so that we can review both at the same time. So active learning basically encourages your brain, or more specifically your students' brains, to activate cognitive and sensory networks. What this means is that not only are the students learning the content itself, but they're also understanding how to connect it to any possible future content or realizing its applications in real time. Some example activities for active learning strategies can be the think, pair, share activity, 3-2-1, question ranking, or who, what am I activity. For think, pair, share, this is pretty straightforward. You basically first give your students time to reflect and think about a question, and then they will be getting in pairs to brainstorm and learn how to lobby these questions in real time, and finally they will be sharing it out to the whole class in order to be able to express their new learned knowledge and also reflect on how other peers think and how it affects their own outcome of the same situation. For the 3-2-1 activity, you can, for example, ask on an Elm discussion board about three things they learned, two questions they have, and one way they can apply what they learned. By putting specific restrictions on how they should answer this question, they will be more inclined to push themselves to the limit on how many things they can find and how many things can actually be gathered from this activity that they did previously, and how this many things can be focused on, for example, specifying it to only three things if they found five things. And this way they can also learn how to filter specific ideas to only mention the ones that they really like the most or the ones that they think are the most important. The other one is kind of interesting because you can do this mid lecture immediately. This is the question ranking one. For example, when you're doing a lecture, you can just stop the lecture and ask students to discuss in groups about deciding on one question, and then they can ask that to the instructor so the instructor can answer the whole group's question, and that way many students can get the answer of a question that they were really keen on getting the answer for, and this obviously lowers the amount of responses that students may need. For example, the repetition of the same question can lead to a lot of loss in the class time, or students can learn how to prioritize their questions because the class time is a limited time for all students. So then they will need to figure out which one is the most important to ask right now so that they can also prioritize what they should be learning at this moment and what they can infer by themselves later. And the final one is the who or what am I strategy. For this one, you write out a list of keywords or phrases from the course, and then you tape those words or phrases to the backs of the students or to a whiteboard if the backs of the students is hard to do. And then you can have students move around the room and ask each other only yes or no questions or try to guess their words or phrases. And this way, not only are you implementing question asking and student interaction, but also you're doing it in a fun way. I believe the usage of technology within the class is already a pretty familiar topic to most students, especially within the modern age. But to go into more in depth analysis, we can use technology to increase accessibility, whether this is for students with disabilities or for those who had certain religious excuses from the current class or assignment that needs to also catch up later, or also to balance the cognitive load and just to give students some materials to be able to review the content later. So some technology tools that we can use in class or outside of class are videos. For example, I'm pretty sure you all are already familiar with how some professors or TAs record lectures or review sessions to be posted on YouTube or Panopto so that students can go back and see what the lecture is or just catch up on topics that they missed. And other than the videos themselves, we can also have it in terms of communication, like even Elm's Canvas announcements or Piazza post count on this one. So basically, in any way that technology is used, it can help students feel like they're on track, as especially with more regular announcements, so that, for example, if something important is said in class, it can be posted in announcements to make it easier for all students to catch up on, or if like students forget later, they can always look back on the announcements. So our job is to basically make it a lot easier for students to look back and know what's going on when they want to review or miss the class. And other than that, we have collaboration. For example, students can use Google Drive or Elms Canvas groups, or for example, Zoom breakout rooms to collaborate with each other during assignments or in class times. And we like most TAs usually do this already, but some host like Kahoots, for example, in review sessions to make it more fun and engaging for the students, as to also break the typical monotone lecture style. Or we can also just use other software like clickers or mentimeters if it's the more accessible. And another big topic is the use of artificial intelligence. Obviously, every class has its own restrictions or guidelines along using artificial intelligence, but talking to the professor about how it can be implemented to benefit the course rather than trying to restrict it from a basic understanding is a lot more beneficial for students, as let's be honest, the world is in a pretty big modern advancement right now, and as every day progresses, we get more and more familiar with AI and technology in general. So if there are any ways that you can think of, for example, integrating AI into the course without uh, ruining any part of student learning or active learning, for example, it can be appreciated so that you can go and discuss to your professor about it. Especially, I'm sure they would accept more ideas on the newly advanced upcoming AI structures, as they might not be familiar with them and how they can actually be a potential for the course. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and see you in the next one.